Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into the invisible rulebook that governs all life on Earth. The fundamental forces that decide where a plant can grow or where an animal can live. I mean, think about it for a second. Why don't polar bears live in the desert? The answer seems super obvious, right? It's way too hot. But that simple answer actually points to a much deeper question. What are the invisible rules that decide where life can and cannot exist? So to find that answer, we really need to get a handle on what an environment is. And more importantly, we need to meet the powerful non-living forces that are constantly at play. They're basically the architects of every single ecosystem. Okay, so an organism's environment is quite literally everything around it. It's the other living things, the plants and animals we call biotic factors, but it's also all the non-living stuff, the physical and chemical components. And it's these abiotic factors, the non-living parts like temperature, water, and sunlight, that really act as the fundamental rules of the game. They set the entire stage and basically determine which living things are even allowed to show up and play.
Now, these factors generally fall into two main buckets, things related to the soil and things related to the climate. For this explainer, we're going to zero in on the big three climatic factors, because they have the biggest impact on a global scale.
All right, let's kick things off with the most fundamental factor of them all, light. It's not just what lets us see, it's the primary energy source that powers pretty much every single ecosystem on this planet. You see, its most critical role is fueling photosynthesis. The intensity of that sunlight and the length of the day directly decide just how much energy is available in an ecosystem. It really forms the very base of the entire food chain. And this is a perfect illustration of how light actually creates structure. In a really dense forest, the competition for sunlight organizes all the life into these distinct layers. Every single layer, from the towering canopy way up top all the way down to the ferns on the forest floor, is perfectly adapted to grab a different amount of light. Okay, let's move on to our next factor and see how this all builds on each other. Temperature. I want you to think of it as the measure of heat energy that basically dictates the speed of all of life's essential chemical reactions. Now, animals have evolved two main strategies for dealing with temperature. You've got your poikilotherms, like reptiles, whose body temperatures just mirror their surroundings. But on the other hand, you have homeotherms, like us mammals, that work really hard to keep our internal temperature steady, no matter what's happening outside. All right, quick pop quiz for you. You see this lizard sunning itself on a rock to get warm. Which category does it fall into? Is it a poikilotherm or a homeotherm? If you said poikilotherm, you are exactly right. It absolutely needs that external heat source, the sun and that warm rock, to get its body temperature up so it can get active. Now, what's really wild is that while most life operates within this pretty narrow temperature band, there are always these incredible exceptions. I mean, some extremophile bacteria can just chill out in hot springs at a scorching 90 degrees Celsius, completely rewriting what we thought the rules of life were. This brings us to our final, crucial abiotic factor, and it's one that, as far as we know, no life could possibly exist without: water. And water is so much more than just something to drink. Its presence in the atmosphere as humidity and clouds actually helps regulate the entire planet's temperature. And for plants, the amount of moisture in the air is critical for them to manage their own internal water balance. And plants are just true masters of adapting to water availability. We can group them into these three main categories based on how they deal with the water around them, from those that live right in the water to those that thrive in the driest deserts. So here's the crucial point. A hydrophyte, like a water lily, isn't just floating around by accident. No, it's perfectly engineered to thrive in water. Its entire structure is a direct response to its environment. And a key feature is having its stomata, those are the little pores it breathes through, on the top of its leaves. Let's just pause and think about that for a second. If the leaf is floating on the water, what problem does having its pores on the top surface solve? Well, yeah, it lets the plant exchange gases with the air without drowning. It's so simple, but absolutely brilliant. So we've looked at light, temperature, and water one by one. But the real magic, the thing that creates the incredible diversity of habitats we see on Earth, is how they all interact with each other. You see, these abiotic factors don't operate in a vacuum.
They combine to create a totally unique environmental blueprint for every single location on the planet, and that blueprint determines exactly which organisms can live there and how they live.
So why does all this matter? Well, because understanding this blueprint, this combination of energy, speed limits, and the essential medium for life, explains everything. It explains why rainforests are so incredibly lush and why the Arctic tundra is so sparse. It is the key to understanding the amazing diversity of life all around us.
And that leaves us with a really crucial question to think about. If these abiotic factors are the fundamental rules of the game for life on Earth, what happens when human activity starts to rewrite that rulebook?